And if there are vacancies in the delegates for state convention, they are filled within the same county and congressional district as the missing person. So if you have a state convention delegate that you know is not going from your county and congressional district, you would be alert to the fact that there is going to be an opening, and it's going to have to be somebody from your county who's going to do it. And they do that on a numerical basis by filling with the alternates. So you want to get to be an alternate. The rule that is referred to the most is Rule 19, which is the election of National Convention delegates and alternates. And again, that is the presidential preference vote is taken, and it is very clear how the alternates are selected and the results of the presidential preference vote, and they do allow poll watchers. So if that's something that would be of interest to you, on page 15, section 5, in tallying the results of the presidential preference vote, one representative from each presidential campaign appearing on the ballot shall be allowed to observe the voting process, including but not limited to conduct of the vote, inspecting the ballots, and the counting of the ballots. Any representative from a presidential campaign appearing on the ballot may ask for a recount, and it goes into details on that. So it tells you what to do if your presidential candidate does not withdraws. And this Rule 19 is very, very detailed because that's so important. So I encourage you to read that from that. And the Credentials Committee, again, has the power to hear any challenges, and they have the power to adopt procedural rules. Any questions on all of that? So, as you know, rules are not the most interesting thing to read, but they do say in them that they run according to Roberts, and that then the delegation is to be representative, to encourage the broadest possible participation, and all citizens who are qualified electors are urged to participate, and they shall endeavor to have equal representation of men and women in the delegation to the Republican National Convention. And they suggest, they describe there are state convention rules which should be adopted, which is what we're going to look at right now, and that it requires a 2/3 vote. Why does it require a 2/3 vote? What kinds of things require a 2/3 vote? Do you remember from last time? When it takes away people's rights.
Yes.
And the adoption of rules, by their very nature, both accord rights because they create order and they make the game the same for everybody. Everybody has the same rights, the same rules, but by the same token, that means that not everyone can do just exactly what they please. They have to go by the rules. So it's a two-edged sword, if you will. On the one hand, we have the advantage that we now have rules to make a level playing field, and indeed most of our complaints in any game or meeting are when the others aren't following the rules, or there's a rule that no one's paying attention to, because then that's not fair. So but by the same token, we also give up some of our rights when we agree to the rules, and hence the requirements for a 2/3 vote. So, going on to now, I'm looking at Exhibit B in the mailing, rules for the governance of and this is the January 25 to 28, 2008 Michigan Republican State Convention. You will find that the adoption of the rules is one of the first things that will take place in the meeting, along with the adoption of the report that there is a quorum present, the credentials report. And at this point, the state party chair, which is a joint position right now, isn't it shared, the Michigan Republican State Party chair, by a woman and a man, Jane
Holly?
No,
No.
I thought I wrote it down. Because I looked it up. But in any case, it's a shared position. So they established the theme we began to talk about this just as we finished last time. The responsibilities the state party chair has. Establish a theme, make reasonable efforts to obtain a nationally recognized speaker, determine the order of business, add other items of business, provided, however, that candidate nominations shall occur in the order established by the Rules Committee. So they have some latitude, but they also have some restrictions. Okay. It states that it's Robert's Rules that's to be used. They have 3 committees, a Rules Committee, a Committee on Credentials, and a Committee on Issues. We just started to talk about that the Committee on Issues is what might be called in other organizations a program committee, platform committee at the national level. The membership of the Convention Rules Committee consists of 1 male member and 1 female member from each congressional district, appointed by the congressional district chair. Now, who's the congressional district chair for our district? That would be Nolenberg's district, correct? Is that the same thing? No, it wouldn't be the same thing for everybody.
District 9 is Clark.
Glenn.
District
Dennis Buckles is District 12.
9, Oakland County.
Well, District 12 is Macomb and Oakland. It touches right into Oakland,
Okay.
Madison Heights.
And
Yeah.
Macomb.
Yeah.
So it's that person is going to appoint members of the Rules Committee. If that's something you'd like to be on, you could mention it to that person, that you would be interested. I imagine that the position on the Rules Committee and the Credentials Committee are considered quite plum assignments. And the Credentials Committee is composed of the state party chair, the budget committee chair, the policy committee chair, the national committeeman, the national committee woman, the state party general counsel, and the state party co-chair. So that's quite defined. One of the things that should be quite clear is that to be a player in all of this, you do have to know who's who. You have to know that list of names. Not necessarily know them personally, but make sure you know who is who and who has what position, so that when you want to learn something, you talk to the correct person and you can ask them. And the Credentials Committee presents to the Rules Committee a list of the delegates and alternates for each county and district, which is the one that has been approved, obviously by the county party. And then they talk about what to do with challenges. Number 8 is a very typical rule for meetings, that no issue or amendment to an issue shall be presented from the floor of the convention unless the rules of the convention are suspended by a 2/3 vote of the delegates present and voting. In other words, no new issue is to come before them unless it gets a 2/3 vote. This is quite common in organizations. Why do you think that is?
To prevent wasting time that the majority of people don't want.
It certainly is. That's why it requires a 2/3 vote. That's exactly right, Joe. In addition, it's to prevent ideas or thoughts coming forward that no one is prepared for without needing a higher vote. So it needs a 2/3 vote if no one's heard about it, if nobody's expecting this to come forward.